Now, let's dive in. Section 58, starting in verse 1. Hearken, O ye elders of my church, and give ear to my word, and learn of me what I will concerning you, and also concerning this land unto which I have sent you. I love that. Joseph didn't bring you here. I brought you here. Look at verse 2. For verily I say unto you, blessed is he that keepeth my commandments, whether in life or in death, and he that is faithful in tribulation, the reward of the same is greater in the kingdom of heaven. You might want to mark or at least pay close attention to this idea of tribulation. This group's going to hear a lot about tribulation.
It's mentioned 3 times in those first 4 or 5 verses. And I think that the great thing about that is who gets the greatest glory? Those who endure tribulation. Those are the ones who really paid the price for testimony, for their faith, and so on. It says, who is faithful in tribulation, the reward of the same is greater in the kingdom of heaven. Who gets the greatest degree? Those who can endure tribulation for Christ's sake.
So if that's true, it makes me wonder, the scriptures are this repository for the gospel of Jesus Christ, the good news, and yet tribulation doesn't feel like good news if you're wearing mortal blinders. Tribulation isn't good news. It's terrible. But the blessing of the gospel of Jesus Christ is this eternal perspective. And verse 2 takes off those mortal blinders and says, yeah, you're going to have tribulation in this life. But look at the greatest of all, the Lord Jesus Christ himself, a man of sorrows and acquainted with grief. And he is the embodiment. He's the pattern. He's the model for us to try to become more like. It doesn't mean that you should now be scared if you try to become a disciple of Christ. Oh no, now what bad, horrible things are going to happen? Mortality, bad things are going to happen to us regardless. But as we get on the covenant path and move forward, it then puts those tribulations into perspective to say, oh, these are refining opportunities for me, where God can now actually consume my dross in my soul and help me to become a better person. Look at verse 3. I love verse 3. Ye cannot behold with your natural eyes. Remember those blinders, those mortal eyes only? You can't behold with your natural eyes for the present time the design of your God concerning those things which shall come hereafter, and the glory which shall follow after much tribulation. He's giving us this heavenly perspective, saying, I see all things. You can't see it. You don't understand it. To me, verse 3 is Jesus basically saying to these people, you have to trust me. You have to have faith in me.
It reminded me of the verse, of course he mentions eyes here. Eye hath not seen, nor ear heard, nor yet entered in the heart of man the things of God that God has prepared for them that love him. And if you love him, you'll be willing to suffer for his sake. And the eternal reward is worth it. It's all worth it.
Absolutely. Now, to finish off that introduction, look at verse 4. For after much tribulation, you'll notice that's twice now that we've seen this. After much tribulation at the bottom of verse 3, and now again at the top of verse 4. After much tribulation come the blessings. Wherefore the day cometh that ye shall be crowned with much glory. The hour is not yet, but is nigh at hand. So, brothers and sisters, as we now embark into this Missouri era, it's going to get heavy. There are going to be some terrible stories and seeming tragedies that come out of this particular part of our church history. I think it's helpful for us as we embark into this period of our church history to remember verse 4. That the Lord is preparing them for much glory that's going to be given to them, lest we start feeling like God didn't love them or wasn't powerful enough to protect them or didn't have enough foresight to prevent these things from happening.